You ready to do this thing?
Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweaty Casuals, brought to you by the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. This is a podcast where we usually talk about the A to Z of the games that we love to play, from the state of ranked systems to our thoughts on the newest sensations and everything in between. My name is Nox, and along with my co-host Zach, we will be your guides as we traverse Elo Hell. A small reminder, we do swear, so viewer discretion is advised. Today, we are joined by Lord Bandito, who we'll be calling Bandito, and Draz who we usually call Draz. Both guests that you guys are probably familiar with have been on the show before, and all of us have been playing Overwatch together since Overwatch 1 days, and have been well informed as the news regarding Overwatch PVE has developed. So, talking about PVE, if you're not familiar with Overwatch and the PVE timeline here, when Overwatch 2 was announced, it was announced that it was going to have a PVE section. Things like hero modes, skill trees, everything you could want out of a base campaign game, but within the Overwatch universe. This was the big reason that they were launching a sequel. The whole reason behind it, really. PvP would come with it, with changes, but PvE was why they were going to update it. So, once Overwatch 2 was here, they released it early because people wanted it. PvE was still put on hold as they were still quote-unquote working on it. But the plans got revised, which is PvE, the hero mode was canceled, and things like skill trees weren't going to happen, but they were still working on something. And then they announced that they were going to do little story modes within PvE, which were similar to PvE events in the past. Things like, oh, someone help me out here. Blackwatch was one. They would do it during the anniversary event. Sure.
Rising. What was the King's Row one? Uprising?
Uprising. So they had little PvE missions that would come out during events in Overwatch 1, and what they were going to do in Overwatch 2 is going to be fairly similar. The difference between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 was that it would be behind a paywall, in which it was called the PVE Invasion Pack, which released in Season 6. It cost $20 to bundle with 1,000 coins. You would get 3 missions, and it was played close to the original archive missions. We were talking before the podcast, while we're all well informed about the PVE journey of Overwatch, only one of us purchased it. Drazzle did, and none of us have played it.
Yeah.
So,
Wasted my money.
Zach did watch the cutscenes, so he knows the stories.
I did.
But none of us truly played the PVE that was announced. I personally, I don't know about Bandito and Zach, didn't see it being worth money to spend on.
I would have been happy to buy it if the coins weren't there, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. So like I said, it came with 3 missions, and it played close to the original archive missions that would come out during the events. Lost my place. Zach, edit this out. Thank you.
Sorry.
All good. So later, after it came out, it found that these packs sold incredibly poorly, and that prevented devs receiving any of the profit from sharing bonuses, and it led to a majority of PvE devs being laid off, which then led to the announcement that there was no planned future major PvE content. But they still wanted to refocus on the PvP, which at the time of Season 6 especially, this was during our drought, I would say, as a server of playing Overwatch. The balance was really off, and it wasn't as fun of a game to play at the time.
That statement was made actually this month, so it's been with the closing of Season 9.
So this was all happening, but yeah, it just came out. So that brings us to now, in which Zach just talked about. PVE has been effectively canceled completely. Not happening anymore. They're not making it. Which doesn't sit, whether people liked the PVE missions that came out in Season 6 or not, it led to the player base of Overwatch being fairly upset by this news, given that this was the whole reason we did Overwatch 2, and it has again sparked a large debate of why did we do Overwatch 2? Why did we move into a quote-unquote sequel when there's, besides the 5v5 format and a few hero reworks, hasn't been a lot different from the original game. So knowing all of that, we'll move into our icebreaker, which, funny enough, on my last statement leads right into the question: does Overwatch 2 deserve to be called a sequel?
No.
Elaborate.
Oh no. But I mean, I think Nox kind of covered why already. It's none of the things that they promised. The only thing that I could consider for why they would need to call it an Overwatch 2 is if it had to do with the battle pass, changing from loot boxes to that. I don't know if it has to do with, other countries' laws and stuff. That's the only reasonable thing I can think of for why they would need to call it a second separate game. Because beyond that, there's nothing that they've done that constitutes being a second one.
Bandito.
I don't think it should have been made at all. I would have been content with my 2016 Game of the Year Overwatch, but that doesn't exist anymore because Blizzard doesn't know their head to ass ratio very well. So,
Funnily
This is-
enough, actually, I was looking on Reddit earlier, and somebody
Yeah.
has gone and made a workshop code that is Overwatch exactly as it existed, as close as they possibly could, before
Perfect.
it
you
transitioned
need
to
to
Overwatch
give me
2.
that code later because
I'll go find it for you.
Overwatch 1, I could argue that was at the a little annoying sometimes, but fun. It kept the game lighthearted. Overwatch 2 is a shit show behind a paywall, and then another paywall, and then a battle pass, and then a third paywall just in case you didn't see the first two. I don't think it should have been made a game at all. You could have made the changes and argue it, but no. So, no, I don't think it's a sequel. I think it is a glorified update so that they can make money. That's it.
Zach, what are you thinking?
No, I want to hear your thoughts first.
I don't have a good answer because I think it can truly be argued either way. I think there have been enough changes. So looking at the changes specifically of the Battle Pass, 5v5, some PvE missions that eventually came out with it. I know they do Hero Mastery now. With the changes that were made, I think there's enough there to call it new from Overwatch 1, but I think it also can be argued that it was truly just an update. What I think was the big reason Overwatch 2 came out at the time that it did is that if you were on YouTube or Twitch during the 5 months leading up to, 9 months leading up to Overwatch 2, it was very doom and gloom amongst Overwatch creators. Flats was claiming he was going to leave the game. And he was not the only one. Everyone was saying that the game was dying, the game was bad to play. And let's be honest, we do look back on it with rose-tinted glasses. Double Shield was bad. We all hated playing it, and it was incredibly frustrating.
I liked playing it.
Okay,
Yeah, well.
okay, Sigmain at the time.
I wasn't.
You played a lot of Sig back then, though.
No, I didn't really touch Sig until I got to Overwatch 2. I played a bunch of Orisa and Ryan.
Maybe I'm
It
remembering it
shows.
correctly. But I
Thanks.
think with the rhetoric that was being passed saying that the game was dying, the game was not going to keep going, they abandoned it, it was dying. With all of that, releasing something called Overwatch 2, whether it was good or not, created a resurgence of interest to even see what the game was about. So yes, I think it did make money, but I think it was also trying to save the game that was, according to the influencers that had the biggest voice at the time, dying. That doesn't quite answer the question. I guess I lean towards no, but I understand why the company did it. Like, I understand why they call it Overwatch 2, why it's new, why it's different. And now we get to pay $10 a month for a battle pass, which is still not that different from other games.
No.
I'm going to be the voice of dissent here. I'm going to say yes, it did actually deserve it. And I'm going to point to a different game completely. And people are going to say that's stupid, but they did it and nobody has a big problem with it. CS2 has come out. It has one big update. There's only one big thing that has changed in it, and that's that they've updated the source engine. It is one of the few things that changed in Overwatch 2. I think Blizzard's issue with this was that it was marketed as hey, we're pushing for PVE and we're really going to work on this, and this is going to be the next big thing in the Overwatch universe. And the reason why it has been a point of contention and remains a point of contention, and probably will for you for a bit, is because Blizzard lied to us consistently over and over again for multiple years and has shown that they have zero interest in pushing forward with any vision of PvE at this point. Battle Pass be damned, they could have changed that in a patch. 5v5 could have been changed in a patch. Source Engine's a bit harder. I can make that argument.
For sure. So centering back on PvE specifically and the news of it being announced back in the day, it's kind of here, it's not coming, and all of that fiasco over the last, has it been like 4 years now?
5,
give or take.
close.
5 years?
Yeah.
5 years since it's been announced. So my first question for everyone to kind of kick off a conversation is, did the monetization of the game and the inclusion of the Battle Pass, even though the game was free to play, influence your choice to buy the Invasion Pack? And the Invasion Pack was the PvE 3 missions.
So it's weird. It's weird to say because I didn't buy like the first 4 battle passes when Overwatch 2 was first announced. If I did, it was a gift maybe, but I didn't see any reason for it. You got nothing out of it that was really worth your time. It was one.
You wish you could go
skin.
back now. I heard you say something earlier today.
Overwatch
that-
1.
No, you're excited for the Mythic Shop.
Which is, again, 1 or 2 skins that you can get. I do want that Genji just to say that I have all of them.
I bet you
I think it'd be
anything they're
fucking
$10 or more.
It's gonna, yeah, which is another issue that I'm gonna.
I wouldn't be
about
shocked
later.
if they're 60.
Yep. Just because you have to, yeah. However, I didn't even know about Invasion until a good bit after. I heard the concept of PvE. I heard that they were still working on it. I did not know that was what Invasion was supposed to be. So I had no fucking idea what it was. And I didn't care enough to look.
I'm gonna go back and check later because I know there was like multiple full conversations about it.
You probably
Chat.
You think Bandito reads the conversations he's not in?
no. If I'm not specifically mentioned, I don't give a shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of our moderators.
Yes, sir. Badge of honor.
Drazzle, what about you?
I can't give Blizzard credit for being the reason why I bought it. I'm gonna give that to PK because he's a bad influence. He likes to get people to spend money. So I'm sure that's how that happened. It's probably just buy it. It's fine. This is what we wanted, right? So I bought it. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, was that the game mode that it was you could pick between like 4 characters and it was like Diva, Doom, I did play it a little bit.
No, not Diva Doom.
No. Lucio, Bap.
Lucio was for sure there.
I think the
fairly
first
certain.
mission was Lucio, Reinhardt, Tracer, Mercy.
Mhm. Okay, no, that's not this. This was a spaceship.
No,
You're
it was
trying to
not
escape.
Mercy,
way
May.
back.
May instead of Mercy.
was that Overwatch 1? Am I confusing my shit?
It's been too long. We've been here
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah. I don't know. I could swear this was after Overwatch 2 had come out. I played that a bit. It was without being a coordinated team, like just with randos, it was not. It was tough. It wasn't fun. So, but that could be because nobody else bought it. And it was just me. So, if I'm even thinking of the right thing. So, but no, so moral of the story, no, PK is a bad influence, and that's why I spend money.
We love PK. While I was not actively playing the game at the time that it came out, I do believe you could still buy it. It's still something you can purchase. And I still haven't, even though I've been fully enjoying the game. I think there's a tab. on the game where you could play it.
There's definitely a tab. I
But-
just don't know if you can still grab it at the moment.
Mm.
I'd assume
Well, whatever it be. My choice to not buy it still stands. I didn't hear anything about it, much like Drazzle said. Maybe it's because nobody else bought it. And I haven't heard enough about it to have any interest in it. And it does. I mean, this used to be a game that I paid the $30 or $60, probably 30 when I bought it on PC. Played the $30, paid the $30 to play it. And then that was it. I got my loot boxes, I would play my game. And now I'm spending $10 every 1.5 months-ish, every 2 months. And that's enough for me. I feel comfortable sinking that much money into a game that I like to play. But past that, $20 for something that I'm not super interested in or that feels like a cop-out almost to what we were promised is not something I was looking to do.
It's almost like the game should die or something. What? Who said that?
You coach this game.
Yes.
And we made fun of
Correct.
you mercilessly.
I
in the last episode
actively
for it.
despise it.
And why
Which
do you
makes
coach
me
it?
good.
Let's ask that question.
Because other people don't deserve to have fun on it. So I'm going to train people to be really good to make sure nobody else gets to have fun.
How's that going?
Pretty well, actually. We've only lost to you guys. So
Consistently.
should say something.
I would say that the monetization of the game has absolutely influenced my choice. I mean, if it was just the invasion pack and there wasn't the additional 1,000 coins, I get the argument that was made that was, hey, when you buy this, you basically get your battle pass as well. But the fact that there was no option to buy it as a standalone didn't make any sense to me.
Mm.
I already had enough coins to buy a battle pass. Why am I going to spend more when I don't know if I'm going to continue to play this game? Because the game has been in a very constant state of flux. I have enough for 2 battle passes right now, and I haven't bought any of them because it's just not worth it. I don't see anything in the battle pass that I'm that intrigued by at the moment.
Come on, the Moira skin was cool this season.
Moira skin
The Moira skin is pretty good. I'm just not I don't play Moira that much.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I went out of my way for was the Diablo crossover event. I wanted the Imperious Reinhardt. I still use it, by the way. His highlight intro, the skin, all of it, abused the shit out of people with it. It's fantastic. He's not in the battle pass. He's his own character. It had its own bundle that sold separately. And it costs the exact same.
And I was happy to buy the battle pass when the game first came out because I had played Overwatch 1 for so long and loved it and enjoyed it. I was happy to throw $10 at developers who were putting work into a game I loved.
Mm-hmm.
But after season 4, 5, somewhere around there, I was like, you know what, this game is not the same as it was. It's not going to be the same as it was. And until I see something change, I don't have the money, nor do I want to spend the money continuing to give to this.
Yeah, money's always the hard thing with it.
And I think that kind of segues into the conversation about the skins.
They're so expensive!
And it's ludicrous. And that's not to say that the artists who make them don't deserve money. They absolutely do. They should probably be getting paid more than they do, just because I work tangentially to that side of the industry. But at the same time, there's no reason that a skin should cost $60.
See, I think it's come to the point that it's not even just Overwatch, it's Blizzard. Diablo 4, a game franchise that I adore, has a single horse armor set that costs more than the entire game. One horse armor set costs more than it all. It's a shit show. Blizzard doesn't know what it's doing anymore. It is a bumbling baby in the dark trying to find a giant red button in the center that self-destructs. They're just waiting until something happens. They're making radical changes left and right to keep people interested. Oh, we flashed the lights for a second. The self-destruct button's there. We know it's there. He's in that direction. Then it flashes again. He's on the other side of the room. And we're just waiting to see what happens. At this point, it's the only reason I think people are staying, is to wait and see how it fizzles out. if it'll go in a boom and shut down servers, or if it's just going to slowly drift off. I want it to die today. I would be content in my life if it was just gone. I could move on peacefully, knowing I've won.
Just for posterity's sake, how long has it been since you were playing Overwatch 2?
Oh God. Okay, so I did take
No,
breaks
like
in
when was
between.
your last game?
30 minutes ago.
Not even. Correct. I am a hypocrite. However, I am a forward hypocrite. I still actively despise this game, and I will stand by it till the day I die. But I enjoy the people I play it with, and it makes up for it. Yeah, guess what, fuckers? I hit you all with the heart shit. Now I'm not the villain. Blizzard's
I mean,
the
you
bad
still
evil
are.
guy.
Porque no los dos.
Oh.
I got there. Kind of.
But yeah, I want to see it die. I think it's done. It had its run. It won Game of the Year back in 2016. That was its peak. It's been trying to claw back ever since then. It's not coming back.
Draz.
Yeah.
I might be putting someone on blast here. It's not you. How much money do you think PK has spent on skins?
For
those of you listening who have never met
lot.
Draz before, PK is her boyfriend, who we often play with. A lot?
A lot. A lot.
Okay, but
How many zeros?
Probably.
What do you define as a lot?
Have we gotten there yet?
It's probably at least 3 zeros.
Okay.
It's
Oh
gotta
my
be.
God.
It's gotta be.
So PK is
Yeah.
single-handedly funding Blizzard at this
Yeah.
point.
Oh yeah. And I mean I suppose that's probably including the stuff that he spent on Hearthstone, because he spends a lot on packs and the new seasons.
He spent a
for
bit
that.
on Diablo too.
Mhm.
Yeah, well that's
Well, they've got a fund.
so we were talking.
Need that horse armor.
He needed the...
Do you want me to ask him if he has it?
No.
'Cause there's a
We're supposed to
chance.
just assume.
Just he does.
Yeah.
Probably.
We know.
If anyone in our life has it, it's him.
Yep.
So, I mean, I feel like that just kind of segues from me saying PK is a bad influence in terms of spending money. And I mean, I can't say that I haven't profited from that. So
How much money have you spent?
just on the battle passes, or some of the ones that have like a combo, like with the skin, like an extra skin, but if you buy it, it's the same price and you get the points for the battle pass. I've spent money on those. But so I guess if it's season 9, then it's $90, unless I've spent a little bit extra. If we're talking about money that's been spent on my account on Overwatch, that's not necessarily my own money. It's probably a little bit more than that.
I know you have a couple skins on your account, but I didn't think you were the one to purchase them.
There were a couple where I was like, honey, look at this skin. Look how cute it is. It's been at least the Kiriko one, and then like the witch one that had the black cat charm, because that was the seller. I was like, look how cute this is. And then the Reaper one, which for some reason I was like, look at this goofy emo child. I want it. Bought the whole bundle. But yeah, so.
I know I haven't been able to pull the trigger on anything other than the battle pass. I bought the Watch Point pack when Overwatch 2 was announced.
I didn't even do that.
So I think I
I didn't
originally
do
bought
that.
it because it granted beta access to one of the betas, and I wanted it. So it granted access to the beta. I got the first battle pass, and I got 2 skins, and it was like $20. And I was like, that feels worth, in my opinion. Where I was at the time, I was playing Overwatch way more than I should have. At least 4 or 5 hours a day. It was insane. But
Talk about yesterday.
oh my god, we played for like 7 hours straight.
So,
And then I played for like another 4 today.
I don't know why you were talking about it in a past tense.
It's been recent, okay? Jesus. But yeah, no, I know I've wanted the Kariko skin. There's been a couple other good ones that have come out. I think there was a Sojourn one that was really cool. It looked like the Matrix. I think that was back in season 1 or 2. Remember season 2 had a Greek mythology kind of spin to it, and a couple of those were cool. But they were coming in at $29. That is 3 trips to McDonald's. Why would I sacrifice that for a skin? Whereas if they even moved it down to 15 or closer to the battle pass at 10, I think I'd be way more likely to spend money on that. But I also, from a business standpoint, don't know where that break point is of we need to get more people to buy it, so we need to lower the price, but we also need to keep it high enough that we're still making money. I would like to say that I have full faith that Blizzard understands these mechanics of how that works, but they can't balance a game. So I don't know.
I'm sure they do understand it. It's just not meant for people like us.
They're just a small indie company. They've got their hands full. There's too many things going on all at once.
I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed just because Bobby Kosh is gone. This is it's a fairly recent change. That only happened, last month?
Give or take.
For
Give or
those
take.
not familiar, do you want to explain who Bobby Kosh is?
Bobby Kosh was the head of Activision Blizzard.
Mm.
CEO. But with the acquisition by Microsoft, they've had a new CEO step in, and she's still trying to figure things out. So I wouldn't expect to see major change overnight. That's a big company for anyone to step under.
Mm.
And if we're going to see larger change of practices, which, we've said already, this is a Blizzard problem, not an Overwatch problem. It will take some time for those types of things to actually come to fruition.
Yeah. Does anyone think that despite how the first PVE game came out, that they should have kept trying to make more?
At the very least, it was something. There was something there that could be improved upon. Here we are, having to start basically brand new, which they reused a lot of old shit, so don't even get me started on that. But at least it was something. There was a stepping stone that they could use to walk off. They could keep making more based off of it. They could use it to keep going. And so they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm good. And just threw it in the water. And here it is.
Has anyone ever heard the phrase that Jack of all trades is the master of none? I think we should. I disagree. And I think that they need to learn how to balance the game and keep that in a healthy standpoint with transitioning. They bit off more than they could chew. They completely reworked how the game operated. Going from 6v6 to 5v5 was not just an update. Can you imagine trying to play Zarya in her state from Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2 today?
Zarya, go boom.
She would blow up. She already does. But she would blow up. Any of the tanks, if you threw them into the 5v5 format as they stood in Overwatch 1, would perform incredibly poorly. They wouldn't be able to play the game.
Except for Hog.
Except for Hog. Delete Hog.
Hog would be fine.
Delete Hog.
Hog's not actually a tank.
He's a DPS with a bigger health pool.
Yeah.
They bit off so much that they were going to fundamentally change how the game was played, going from 6v6 to 5v5. And they were going to do this PvE thing. I'm not surprised they ran out of people and resources to do this. Like, looking back on it, I'm upset that I was lied to as a player, that it was coming and it didn't.
Communication.
Aaron Keller's working on it. It's like a bad relationship. They keep telling us that they're going to work on their flaws. And I think it's gotten better.
Some of it has better.
Yes. We do see Aaron way more often, and that's vibes. I've enjoyed the communication increase, but they bit off so much that I would have loved to see them perfect if they would have come out ahead of Overwatch 2 and said, hey, we understand you had problems with how PvP played in Overwatch 1. that it was oppressive, not fun to play against. It wasn't a great game. We're going to spend time working on changing how the game operates, balancing these characters to at least have a base that they're all can play the game. Balance is never going to be perfect. Some characters are always going to be stronger than others when you have a game that updates like this. But let's bring the game into a healthy standpoint, and then we'll start to work on PvE. So I agree. I would rather have the entirety of Blizzard stop trying to hit the square peg into the round hole
Goes in the square.
and work on balancing the game, because I think it's been better. I think it's been healthier. What did you say?
Sorry, I'm laughing at my own joke. It goes in the square hole.
He's being an asshole.
Right. And I think we started to figure it out. I think we at least moved away from the round hole now. I don't think we've found it, but we've moved away. Because when I took my hiatus from the game, like, I came back in season 8 and played a little bit ahead of season 9. It was when I was prepping for actually one of our podcasts to do season 9 changes. And I wanted to see how the game felt in its current standpoint. It was bad.
It was not good.
I still remember texting my boyfriend going, I don't know what to do. I used to love this game. This used to be my favorite game ever. I can't play it. It's so oppressive. And then I came into season 9 and I felt like I could breathe again and I could play the game. Now I'm a DPS main, and I've seen that DPS versus tank and support are very different opinions on the game right now. I'm actually not minding it as a support currently. I think there's some changes, but I'm not minding it. But I think season 9 was a step in the right direction.
We'll come back to that.
Sorry, I tangent.
No,
Real
you're good.
bad right there. I
You're
went
good.
off.
Because I do want to touch back on that. Drazzle, what are your thoughts about should Overwatch have continued with PvE missions?
They, as something that Blizzard promised, they needed to follow through on it. And there's a lot of people that they disappointed, whether those people wanted to play it or not. You can't promise something, have people pay money for it, and then, well, I mean, if we look at Kickstarter, I guess you can do that, and then not follow through with it. Because that's kind of what it feels like. It kind of feels like a failed Kickstarter.
That's a great way to describe it.
From Blizzard, Activision Blizzard. So not even just Blizzard, but so I think we all kind of expected a little bit better than what we got.
See, that's the trick.
Yeah.
Small indie company, you have to have really low hopes for.
Yeah, apparently.
They haven't been doing this for years. They didn't get national awards for this.
I think they should have continued. I think they should have done it like they did the Archives missions. Like, yeah, they weren't a lot. The Archives missions weren't a lot. We didn't get them often. We got them once a year. Sometimes we didn't get them. But it was something to get a little bit of the game lore within the sense of the game and actually be able to play through that story and enjoy it in some way, shape, or form. And it didn't feel like the Archives missions were exactly pulling away massive amounts of resources.
It was extra. It was a small little treat at the end of the day. After you hate yourself for hours on end playing comp and losing every other game.
And if you wanted to sell those for $2, $3, maybe even $5, I would happily have considered it.
Yeah, I can second that.
Not 3 for $20.
So, because PvE is not happening, but Overwatch characters specifically are incredibly based in the lore, that is still kind of murky to me if I...
Yeah.
It's always been murky. That's part of the charm of it.
Yeah. Because we're not getting lore through PvE, which is what everyone assumed we were getting for a long time. Like when Overwatch 2 was announced, they had a really good cinematic about all the characters coming back together. That's still a really, really cool cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like I said, lent to the thought that we were going to get that through PvE. How do you want to get lore now about these characters?
in the game. I don't want to have to go fucking find it. Because it feels like that's what it felt like half of the lore was. You had to go find it on other platforms to get the backstory to everything.
What,
There was
you've
no
never
way to
sat
do
through
it.
the hour and 10-minute YouTube playlist called Overwatch Lore?
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
watched all the
talking about.
cinematics
I
in a
had to
row?
go to
Actual
YouTube to
thing,
get
right?
it.
Is that
I
Yeah,
couldn't get it
yeah.
through the game.
Or it's an edited together video. It's called the Overwatch movie.
Yeah, it's all the
Yeah.
cinematics stitched together. Great, cried through half of them. It's beautiful. I'm not
They're
angry
good.
about it. Yeah, they're good cinematics. I'm not angry at the cinematics. I'm just angry that I had to go to YouTube to find them.
So just to be clear, we've got the cinematics right now. We've got
Comics.
comics. We have
There are comics to this game?
There
Yeah,
was the
that's
little-
what I'm
yeah.
saying. You
was the
can't
little-
find them in Overwatch. You gotta go get them. I'm sorry, Zach.
there was the little TV mini event that happened last year. Not TV. It was YouTube, but it was like a little mini event that wasn't quite a cinematic.
Did I miss a page?
Like, there are short stories too.
Yeah, and then there's short stories. Hey,
Yeah.
Bandito, you should probably pay attention to the Overwatch chat.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should.
Might
I
know.
did play the Cupid Hanzo.
Yeah, I was
thing.
about to bring that up. That was
I
not
did
canon,
that
but that
one.
was lit.
Yeah.
That one
That
was
was good.
fun.
That
The
wasn't
dating
actual
sim.
lore, but it was fun.
It was
Fun alternate universe.
Right?
But
I
I know
do-
my. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Bandito.
Oh well,
please.
now we're here. I liked the cinematics. I always thought they were fun. My favorite will always be the Hanzo and Genji one, even though it is growing more outdated the longer you look at it. I always thought it was fantastic, and it was a cool way to show who these two characters were and why it wasn't what you thought they were at first glance. Genji's not the edgy teen. It's cool. It shows another side of it in a fun little cinematic. I think if we got more of those with maybe some of the newer characters mixing with some of the old, that'd be pretty cool. But it's a small indie company, so you can only ask for so much.
I still remember the Kiriko cinematic that came out when she was dropped, made me cry.
Oh, it was cool. It was.
I
so
showed it to
fucking
my
cool.
mother and she loved it.
They're wonderful. So I sit here going, I understand it takes more resources, which seem hard to come by at this company.
Right?
Make an animated show. I
See,
still
that's-
think that's something that they should do.
That'd be kind of cool.
League of Legends did it.
They had one. Nobody watched.
They did?
This was the one
When?
that came out last year in August, I think. Somewhere
What?
around there.
What?
If I recall.
On what platform?
On
You
YouTube.
See, they got to get a deal, I think, with like a Netflix or a Prime Video or Hulu.
Or advertise it through their launcher that we access every
think
day
that's the bigger
to
issue.
play Overwatch?
You're talking about Genesis.
Yes.
Not the same thing. Not the same level. We're talking like, oh god, what's the show for the League of Legends one? Arcane.
Arcane.
Arcane was really big. And speaking of someone who, again, actively despises League of Legends, I considered going through and playing it because I thought, holy shit, Arcane's a really fucking good show. That was really entertaining. I love these characters. It was something else. It wasn't the game, don't get me wrong. The game's its own mess, but the show was really cool, and it would have gotten me in it if it wasn't a dumpster fire. However, I think if Overwatch did a similar thing, they could probably rake in a lot of new players with it. It would at least make it more interesting.
Well, I even think about Critical Role, for example, was a big Twitch. I think they streamed to Twitch,
I think
but
so.
YouTube for sure. They would upload their sessions. That was big on its own, but then they made their own cartoon, and now people will go back and watch it, and they know more about it because of it. And it's this ongoing cycle. I think if Overwatch was able to create an animated show, which you're already creating, I don't know the nuances of this. Zach maybe can help me out on this. You're already creating an animated video game. It can't be that hard to push them. Okay, it's that hard. Get a deal with Netflix, get a deal with Prime Video. Put it somewhere that people outside of Overwatch are going to see it.
Right?
I think that would be a wonderful way to get lore. Otherwise, the cinematics are fine. Keep them coming. Because we don't get many of those either.
Nope.
No,
not
we've
since
gotten
Kiriko,
2
I
since
don't think.
Overwatch 2 launched.
Kiriko's and Sojourn? I don't even think I've seen Sojourns.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't even know.
I actually rewatched it a couple days ago because you can actually watch them in the game.
No.
Huh?
Yeah, if you go into your heroes,
I don't believe
if a hero has a cinematic, there's a...
You're lying.
They should maybe tell their players these things.
I
Drazzle, did you know this?
He's like, I don't believe you. You're lying to me. Give me a second. I'm loading it up right now. Don't mind me.
I think the single biggest thing that Blizzard could do to help themselves is just make a lore tab in the game. And just, you can hard link it. You can literally throw some HTML links in there to the short stories in the comic books. That's fine. But like, gosh, having to hunt this stuff down is awful.
I know that comics were linked into the game. Because I read the first 2 parts of the Cassidy comic that came out either very early Overwatch 2 or late Overwatch 1. And I don't go looking for those. So I know those were linked into the game.
Hold on a sec. How did you find these?
Just go to Sojourn like you were going to change your skin. It's in the top right, if I recall.
Motherfucker. Hold on. Okay, but counter argument, it's not there for Hanzo and Genji, and that's the main one that I loved. The rest were okay, sure, but those
can you check on Bastions?
Bastion does not have one.
So they're only the new ones.
It's the new ones.
So it's only so Kiriko has one, correct?
Yeah, Kiriko has one. Yep.
Yeah, so it's only the new ones too.
Because fuck the rest of the characters. They've been here forever.
Oh, Tracers is good too.
All of them have been great. One of Blizzard's great wins and in gaming overall has been the fact that they're willing to actually spend money on those cinematics. They understand that there's value in them and they bring in players.
They used to be willing to spend money on those cinematics.
They still do.
I mean, think we're getting them at the same rate that we got them in Overwatch 1, maybe at a slightly lower, but there's not that many out there.
No. But the other thing is, like, they've done this for WoW. WoW used to get huge cinematics. And they were super exciting, and they bring a lot of players in.
Mm.
I do get that they're expensive. They're obscenely expensive, and I know this because I work in that industry. I know what it's like, and I know how much it costs. But at the same time, like, I'd rather see them spend some of their advertising money that they are spending in other ways.
Didn't they pick up like John Cena for an event that like barely happened? He was advertisement. Hold on, I'm pretty confident on it.
Did you know they did a cinematic 3 months ago for Mauga?
Is it the short one? One of the shorter ones that they do with a lot of
7 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
With Doom and Sombra and Reaper.
Sure is. It's a very different animation style too.
It is. It's a little bit, it harkened more, if I recall, to the they used to do little short cinematics that were like 2 minutes long when a new hero came out.
I was say Junker Queen had a small one that didn't have a ton of. Oh, Junker Queen has one too.
Oh yeah, Junker Queen has a full one.
Hold on. It was the Invasion campaign when it was being first announced. They recruited John Cena to promote it as the hacker of Enigma.
They did. It was on TV.
It was everywhere for like 3 days, 4 days, and then gone.
And that's something to mention too, was like the actual cinematics with the in the Invasion stuff. I have gone and sit down and watched them. They're all pretty good.
Junker Queens does not show in Overwatch.
That's a good one too, though. Okay, they're all good. I'm gonna stop saying that one's good too. They're all good.
I'm double checking. Winston's shows for some reason.
Is that the
Is that the Overwatch 2 trailer,
That's
or is
the
that
Overwatch
the,
2. That has to be the Overwatch 2 one where they all
Let's
come
is-
to.
open it and see.
or is it his original?
It looks like the original.
Oh, with Reaper? Oh gosh.
Well, anyway,
Odd choices.
I
But
think the cinematics are good. I think if we can find some money and resources, a show would be really cool.
I would love to see Blizzard do that. However, just from my experience with licensing, so full heads up, I actually worked for 4 months? 4 months for a pre-production company. Their whole gig was they went and read books and said, "Hey, yeah, this is pretty good. We think we could adapt it to a movie." And they'd start that process and work with companies to do it and authors. There's a lot of contract work. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. There's a lot of weird amounts of money that go around. But I think the biggest thing is at some point somebody has to step back and be like, okay, this is no longer our project. And in this case, it would have to be Blizzard. And I don't see them doing it.
Do you think the acquisition with Microsoft helps with any of this?
In some ways, because we
It's-
have seen that with some other franchises. You know, Halo has gotten a lot more love in its expanded universe.
Even though it's bad.
A lot of the expanded universe stuff is fine.
So I was talking about the most recent TV show.
Oh yeah, well that hasn't been good, but that's also that one's been in purgatory for a long time. I think the first rumors for a Halo TV show or a movie came out in like 2003.
Oh my god.
Originally, it was slated to be Peter Jackson, and then he stepped down, and then Neil Blomkamp took on the director role, and Peter Jackson was gonna produce it. And then that ended up falling through, and Peter Jackson said, "Yeah, sorry about that, bud. Here's a bunch of money. You want to go make a movie?" And he went and made District 9. Kind of proved that he probably should have been the guy to direct that movie. Because that movie's it's at least 15 years old. It's probably getting closer to 20
she's
now.
old.
And it still looks good. District 9 looks phenomenal.
It does look phenomenal.
So, kind of moving away from lore and PvE. A lot of us, actually all of us in this call, maybe because of me, or Draz has been playing all 9 seasons. Zach, I think it's because of me. We've all been playing Overwatch a bit recently. And Overwatch in season 9, like I said, came with a lot of changes. Health pools, there were a couple reworks, Pharah got a rework. There was a lot of changes to characters such as Mauga and Ball, and the meta has shifted like 3 times within the season, which honestly I haven't hated. It hasn't felt stale.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back on where Overwatch 2 started and where we're at now, how is everyone feeling about the game taking that into like a full scope of the last, it's been over a year now, right?
Since when?
About since Overwatch 2 launched, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's been over a year and a half.
Oh god.
October
Okay.
2022.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say I thought it was closer to 2 years at this point, but
I was ready for someone to pull out. It's been 2.5, and I was gonna leave.
Oh, I felt that in my soul.
But Drazzle, as someone who's been playing pretty consistently,
sorry. I think that they needed to transfer to a battle pass type system if they had wanted to keep the game alive. I see your face down there, Bandito, but hear me out. Prior to now, even thinking about console games, PC games, they were meant to be a one-time purchase. You played till you were done. They patched it, they updated it, a couple times, and then the game went away. If you wanted to keep a game that was going to be played for coming up on 10 years, a one-time purchase isn't sustainable, just from a pure economic standpoint. Doesn't matter what what any of us want from, like I said, from an economic standpoint, and needing to pay the developers and the people that we expect to do this for us. I think the Battle Pass thing had to happen. I've lost the point of what we were talking about. I wanted to
State of the game.
How was the game
that's how I got there. That's how I got
out
there.
and changed since the launch?
I think that it's improved as a support player. There was a period where it was rough. It was not fun. I understand that it's not fun for tank players at the moment. I don't feel like it's ever really been fun for tank players. There's a reason why I'm not a tank player. But I don't mind it right now. There does feel like there is still balance issues, because it does feel like you get stuck in a losing streak sometimes, and you're like, how? And then, especially after, someone smarter than me will have to explain what happened. But especially with the MMR reset at the start of this season, I jumped nearly a full rank and have slowly worked my way, 2 or 3 ranks back the other direction. And that feels
You were really popping off during the placement matches.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't want to talk about how that happened. I wonder what that could have been. But I play my own support matches. I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand. But I don't know. Maybe that is the problem. But I thought that they were not. I thought they were role dependent, the MMR. Versus across the So in theory, shouldn't have mattered. See, get fucked. You all want to blame it on somebody else. So the decline of my rank across the season hasn't felt great. I was real proud of myself for like 2 weeks, and then it's kind of been slowly taken from me. I'm still gonna keep playing. I'm dumb. But
and then there's Bandito, who did his placement.
Bye Nox.
Just for tank. Okay, let me try that again.
Okay.
And then there's Bandito, who did his placements for his tank and got Plat 2 and refuses to play the role anymore.
Because it's a really pretty number. Also, real quick, I have gone from getting violently angry at the game. No walls harmed this time. We've got that one covered.
That's just a thing.
And I've moved towards just getting kind of upset, maybe leaving if I'm not feeling it. So
we were this close, Nox. We were this close.
Sorry, I caught it. Sorry.
These motherfuckers, the last episode, making me bleep 12 fucking times.
It came out and I went, well, there it is. Can't do
It took me
anything about that
3 hours to
anymore.
go through all that. It took me 3 hours.
I only got you one this time, I believe.
Just for a rainy day. But, oh god, I had a train of thought. Hold on. I gotta refine it. Yes, I went from getting violently angry, no walls harmed this time, we've got someone for that, to we do have 2 for that now. We do have 2 for that. To just getting kind of upset and leaving if I'm not feeling it. So to say that there isn't improvement is a lie. There is. It's getting better. However, as someone who was initially and in my heart, I'm still a tank main, I can't play it anymore. There's no point. I used to be Reinhardt. That was me. That was what I did. I didn't play anything else. I was Reinhardt. I could beat anybody. It did not matter what they did. If I was good enough as me, they couldn't stop me. The game has changed. They don't like that anymore. So I got my shining Plat 2 to sit on the side of my screen, and it won't move until I leave.
Doesn't help that Reinhardt shit right now.
It completely. It's, which I have my opinions on, but we don't have that kind of time. But it's to the point where I've switched to Sombra. I'm a DPS main now. It's Sombra, Junkrat, and whoever else sounds fun. Echo and Symmetra more recently.
I
But
hate people like you.
because I can't have fun on Reinhardt, they've stolen it from me. So they
you
get to
decide
have
that
fun.
no, every tank can't play the game.
Everybody else, they don't get to have fun either because I'm not allowed to have fun.
Oh,
So
matches
nobody
your
does.
cynicism.
But yeah,
That's usually what I say about it right before I insta-lock Sombra. I go, if they can't have fun, then no one can.
Right? If I'm losing, if I'm trying to have fun, throw bombs as Junkrat down main, and they just start to pick, I don't know, any hitscan character at all, fuck it. They chose their path. Now they don't get to play the next 5 minutes. So
I'll amend my statement. It's not when I insta-lock Sombra when I come into a match. It's when I pick Widow and there's another Sombra or something that really counters me, and I go, well, if I can't have fun,
no one can.
Widow's been fun this season. I think there's a problem with that, but I've been having fun.
It's a good time to pick up Sombra.
There is. Learn one of those two, and you're set to go.
Yep.
Oh goodness.
But I think season 9's been really good. Honestly, my take on it is that it has been less about balance of the heroes and more about the MMR restart.
Yep.
I think the season has been incredibly difficult to play through. It's not that I feel like one character is OP or one character is running lobbies, because I've seen multiple different characters run lobbies. Now I am playing in gold plat lobbies, so it's different depending on where you're scoping on the game.
A wee bit.
But it truly does feel like when I walk into a match and we're getting rolled, it's not because of an OP hero or an OP meta. It feels like we're getting rolled because the team is just better. That their MMR is just higher than ours. So that, I think,
disagree, but
that's fine. Maybe that's just how I have to phrase it in my head, because a lot like Bandito, I would get really frustrated with this game and get really angry at it and have to rage quit because it just wasn't fun anymore.
Violently angry.
But Bandito can even attest. We've been playing together a lot. I'm just like,
Okay.
GG, go next. Let's just move on. It didn't happen.
I had to play my
Just keep
placement
going.
matches with you because nobody else could get to our level. We were just that good. We were better.
Oh, shut up.
when I play DPS, when I play support, I share that mindset. Tank's been the rough one.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody can agree that Tank right now is awful.
I was impressed I got to plat 2 with mine. That's why I haven't touched it since, and I won't until.
So I want to start by saying when we discussed our rumors for season 9, we got a few things wrong.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. But overall, we were optimistic. We were hopefully optimistic that this was going to be a good season, and I think a lot of those balance changes have ultimately worked out well.
Yeah.
I think there's still some major issues that need to be worked through, but I'm hoping now that some of the other ones have been dealt with, like the fact that DPS really didn't have a big influence on matches is now not so much a problem.
No.
Like now that some of them have been dealt with in a good and reasonable way, that we may be able to start focusing on them. One of them is tanks need some help. Tanks need to be able to actually have an impact, because right now, like I'll sit on some characters and just constantly be. I'll sit on Diva. I'll just be point blank shooting at somebody, and I can't do anything.
And I also don't think that this might be a hot take. Not a tank main, so take my opinion with a grain of salt. I haven't touched tank a day in my life.
You have, I've seen it.
My tank ranking is higher than my DPS right now, but that's not the point.
That might be because nobody's playing it.
Yeah. I think tanks, instead of, it feels like we're creeping damage numbers right now, and that's how we've been going, which is why we had to bump up health pools, is because we've been creeping up those numbers. I think tanks need more sustain. I think especially with the new character coming out, which she's a ton of fun, she needs a little bit of balance somewhere, whether it's cooldown timing or damage output. She can be a lot, but we're moving towards these characters, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, these characters that can do everything. That the new character, when she uses her abilities, she gets shields. She's effectively healing herself to an extent. Those shields grant her extra sustain. She has an invulnerability. She's tanky. She's harder to kill. and she has a good damage output. We're mixing and we're melding these three roles that I think by creating more sustain for tanks, it starts to once again push them in the other direction. Except for Hog. Fuck Hog. Delete him.
Delete Hog. I would agree for the most part. However, actually, I shouldn't say that. I disagree for the most part. She plays like Reaper. Words are hard, okay? She plays
Actually,
like
you have a
Reaper.
good point. Actually, never mind. You don't.
It's not that you don't have a good point, but I think you, in the terms of her covering everything, that is a good point. I think her overshield issue is just that she plays like Reaper, so she needs that little bit of oomph. She needs that sustain, and that was how they decided to do that, and I like it because it's different. It's not Reaper's lifesteal. They gave her something different that is completely her own, and she can use in a way that encourages her to engage with her abilities rather than disengage with them. However, I don't know why they gave her so much CC. She's got a lot of CC, and this is coming from developers who, when the game came out, said DPS aren't going to have CC abilities.
I booped 2 people off the map the other day with my first game with her melee.
Yeah, it's
And like, if we're going to move back in that direction, it's fine, but 1, tanks need more CC. 2, you need to go full in and just be like, yep, Cassidy, stun grenade, give back.
this is
Give him back the flashbang. You said it. You said
No. Mm-mm.
If you're going to move in that direction, then you just need to
back.
break
Bring back
and you need to give May
flashbang.
her freeze back.
This is an on fire garbage can.
Could be a nursery.
But yeah, you heard it here and now, folks. Give tanks 200 more health and 150 more shield. That's all we need.
I think the bigger thing is actually, I think tanks need to do more damage. Some of them. Some of them.
Disagree with that.
Some of them, maybe.
Some of them.
Reinhardt.
I'd be fine with Ryan having a slower charge.
I want it so bad.
I'd rather-
Ryan can still three swing kill a squishy though, and I think that's correct.
Can he?
Yeah.
It's
Just
just
swinging 100 right now?
It depends.
I don't know. I get fucked up all the time when I go against them because I go, "You're bad right now," and I go face check them. It doesn't go well.
Well,
Yeah, well, playing stupidly doesn't help.
Sometimes I still roll up. I'm not kidding you.
Oh, I
Overwatch
know,
1
I know.
is ingrained right here and right here. I still walk up to a Ryan playing Cassidy expecting that I could flash over the shield. He's dead.
There
And,
are other issues though that I think need to be dealt with. I think Winston's in a rough spot sometimes. Like, I'm seeing more Winstons, but like, God, if you go dive anything that's getting pocketed by a Mercy, you don't do anything. You're there to accept their bullets and nothing else.
He's been a pain in my ass recently. I also play
Yes,
Widow
but
Ash
he
and
can be
Cassidy.
really
so.
strong.
Mhm.
But like, it's pretty rough when it's like, yeah, I'm the tank player. I have a job to do. And if your team doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form, you're not. There's nothing else to do. You just exist to be shot.
Yeah.
And feed the enemy ult.
Do you think tank is bad because you don't have a tank partner to play with, whereas every other role has someone to rely on?
I think it would help. So my other really big note, I don't know what they're doing with the Wrecking Ball rework. I'm very interested, but I think Sombra needs some serious changes still.
again,
And a lot of this has to do with the fact that I think the way she plays into other DPS and into supports right now, it's not always fun. It can be very oppressive, but there are ways that you can play around it. If your tank gets hacked, I don't think there's a tank in the game right now who actually plays well in the Sombra. I think the closest is probably
Zarya.
Zarya.
Yeah, Zarya's a bit of a pain in the ass for me.
But even
Zarya.
Zarya, it's charge dependent.
I think Mauga's still fairly okay against Sombra as well.
He'll live.
I've had some rough ones. I can
Okay.
see it, but I've had some rough ones.
Arisa falls over. Ryan falls over. Doom falls over.
Wrecking
Ball falls over.
Ball falls over.
Monkey falls over.
I think Junker Queen's okay if she can continue getting damage. In a
Okay.
1v1 scenario, probably not. But with team support, she's
she has
okay.
any support whatsoever. she's
Diva falls
fine.
over hard.
Diva does fall over hard.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one DPS right now that I'm like, she actually counters every single tank, bar none.
I think you're still okay with Hog.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Hog
but
could eat a tank and he'd be okay.
yeah, Hog is a
Walk
whole
it off.
separate category, and Hog probably needs another rework at this point, and that's just because he's still
How
not.
about we just delete him?
DPS.
What's
I
a rework?
love that. At this point, they've made it clear that they're not going to delete him. So
make his
rework
ult
him again. Make him actually give some
one
value to his
football
team
island.
other than damage. And yes, I know he's good for sniper metas before somebody says anything, but
He's good for sniper metas?
so when Sojourn was really oppressive, he was actually considered to be a very good counter.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't
You
consider
don't
him a
think
widow
it add up,
counter.
but it was working.
It's not that he's so much a widow counter, it's the fact that he can displace heroes and force them out of position.
Assuming.
So people can't run and hide.
I would agree, except for Widow. I think Widow keeps just enough distance. But Ash, Hanzo, Sojourn, I would agree.
And I do agree that he has value in that, but in pretty basically every other situation, he should actually offer value to his team other than I'm doing the DPS's job better than the DPS.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Any other final comments on end of season 9? Got a few more days till season 10 starts.
I'm excited. I hope it keeps going well. I hope they don't just say, oh, we did something fairly good, and now we're going to go revert.
Apparently, I want Torb to become overpowered so one of my players dominates this next season and carry us to the top.
Good luck with that.
Right? I don't know why he picked up Torb. Nobody does. But he got it, and here we are.
No comment.
I forget that character exists.
So do I. I haven't had to counter a Torb in so long. But,
I'm not going to stop playing. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I'm sure that's what I'm going to go back and do.
Yeah, vibes.
So-
Vibes. Bandito definitely won't be joining us.
What?
So he says.
What?
That's what he claims.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like those are my final thoughts. I'm not going to stop playing, so.
I want it to die so bad.
No, you don't.
I just want to see it crumble so I can pick up another game.
No, you want to see it succeed. You just want to see it die right now because it's been awful to watch
Dying
it.
for a while.
You want
Yeah.
it to pick one and be there.
I don't want a soft whimper every once in a while where it's like, hey, hold on, I might still be here. And then,
Is it the doomsday clock that it's like the closer to 12, the worse off we are? I
Yeah.
treat flats as my doomsday clock.
I feel like that could be dangerous.
it could be.
Could be a
I-
nursery.
I normally I agree with him, but every once in a while I hear something that I'm like,
Look, for better or for worse, he is my doomsday clock, and it's been fairly positive. It's been fairly positive. I feel bad that Rhine is bad for his sake and Bandito's, but
So bad. You know what my picturesque Rhine is? My picturesque Rhine. He's half the size, 100 damage a swing, and he's twice as fast. That'd be perfect. Just imagine a little guy running at you, and then your team is gone.
it's just a Torb-sized Rhine.
Yup. That would be phenomenal. That's what I want. I would die happy if I got that, but small indie company.
I said this the last time we talked about the rumored season 9 changes. I was more optimistic for the game then than I had been in a very, very long time, since probably right before Overwatch 2 came out, which everyone was optimistic because we're all wanting this game to be as good as it was when we first played it.
Because we're fucking idiots who get any kind of recognition. We're like, fuck yeah!
No,
So
we're
to
junkies.
yeah, we're all addicts. So to
Tomato,
say that
tomato.
this is like I'm feeling good about the game. I'm playing it a ton. It's really the only game I'm playing actively right now because I burnt myself out of Baldur's Gate so hard. Can't
We
open the
did push
game
that
anymore.
one a lot.
But I'm excited. I'm happy. My abusive ex is being nice to me again.
He's changed.
He's changed. It'll be different this time.
And it has been. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Called love bombing.
Yeah.
Here's a really good patch. Suffer for another year. Okay.
Well, on that dark note, let's move into the real world. This is our segment where we usually talk about things that are going on in our lives outside of normal day-to-day video games. Sometimes it's about video games, but sometimes it's about movies we're watching, TV shows we're watching, books we're reading, music we're listening to. Things
Often
going
about
on.
books we're reading.
Oh, geez, I wonder who that might be. Things going on into our lives outside of, the usual, or at least what we've been discussing. Drasley, you want to start us off?
Sure. I didn't see this question in our notes and I didn't prep anything, but I am getting ready to go on vacation next week. So that's going to be fun. It's just Florida again, which,
Look.
land of the mouse.
Stay away from the armadillos and you'll be good to go.
No, that's here. I'm leaving the armadillos. Unless there are some there. I don't know.
I saw one in Florida a couple weeks ago.
Great. Perfect. But yes, I'm going to go spend some time with my mom and the mouse and a pool, and it'll be a good week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Bandito?
So every single time we have this segment, almost every single time, I somehow forget that this segment exists at the end of it. So I rush to find something. Hey, I kind of been doing this. It's kind of interesting. And apparently I've been scorched and burned too many times because I have written down in my own notes for the session, hey, potential topics. And so I'm going to pick up my favorite of them at this moment. Right now, at least for the past minute, I have been watching free run Beyond Journey's End. So it is a weird show, an anime. I watch it on Crunchyroll. Basically, you're put in this world where the adventure, the main party who goes to defeat the Demon King, already happened. It's over. And we're following one of the main characters as she retravels those steps as their now famous party of heroes is rejoiced everywhere as the heroes who saved the world. So she's slowly discovering everything that she actually did on her journey and learning that maybe she should have paid a little bit more close attention to the people around her instead of the journey. It's good. It's heartwarming. It hurts a little bit, but in a good way. It's a good show. It's a good show.
What do you got, Knox?
What do I not? It's books. It's always books. I just finished earlier today the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. It's good. It's very different than from what I've been reading. It's YA fantasy with a fairy tale spin. It definitely reads like a YA book, so I've been able to tear through it. They've been good. But on a different note, I was putting away books last night that I had recently bought because I always buy books, and I was putting away 17 new books that I had bought. And I went, maybe I should count how many books I have in my collection. Now, these are all not recent buys. These are also from my childhood and that I've accumulated since I was probably 8. I have 167 books in my apartment.
That's actually far less than I expected.
So it's 500 to make a library, and I have a new goal. But I have 167 books. And while I was looking at my 167 books, I went, I don't know if I want to finish the trilogy right away. I have a lot of books on my TBR because I've only read about half of my collection. So today I sat down, and instead of just picking the next book I was going to read off of feeling, I decided in order to give all the books I've purchased in the last year of my life enough attention that I was going to randomize how I'm going to read my TBR. So I sat down and I wrote down every single book that I have not read in my collection and put it into a jar. And so when I finish a book, I get to pick the next one. And I only get one redraw if I don't like the book that I pick when I draw it. And that's the one I have to stick with. So upon finishing the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, I picked out a book called Gothicana, which is marketed as a dark romance book. So that'll be fun. That's what I've been up to. Look, the book is really pretty, though.
That was a pretty good.
That is pretty.
It's really pretty. So I'm excited about that. We'll see. This will probably be the first dark romance I've read. We'll report back. What about you, Zach? What have you been up to?
TikTok has tried to prepare me for that. I finally finished Every Tool's a Hammer, which I know I've talked about on the show before. Adam Savage, one of the Mythbusters, wrote it. Still going to recommend it. It was absolutely phenomenal. Anybody and anyone who ever creates anything should read it, not because it will necessarily apply all to you. There's a chapter in there that's literally about choosing between screws and glue, and half of that is which glues work with which things. But there are other things in there that talk about things like how you deal with your workspace and keeping organized and doing checklists and things like that. And it's genuinely interesting to read because it's put into a context that it's very similar to some of the things that I end up doing. You know, he has worked in the special effects industry, I work in the film industry, but it's also just a great thing for creatives. I think anybody who creates things should at least consider reading the book because there's simple advice in there that's well worth it. The last chapter is called, I think it's called Sweep Up Every Day. Yeah, Sweep Up Every Day. And it's all about how you should make your workspace your own. It's really, really well done. But that wasn't what I was going to talk about in real world. I was also going to say that I've been keeping up with Bad Batch. Bandito, I know you're the fellow Star Wars nut. Nox, I know you watch Star Wars, but not as much.
It's like an addiction.
Oh, it's been real good.
They reintroduced midichlorians.
And they're doing it in a smart way that actually feels
really
like it has
smart
value.
way.
Is it working?
Right?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Bad Batch has been so solid. The first half of season 1 is a little rough because it falls into the trope of, oh, we've got a bunch of adults and they've got a kid with us and the kid's kind of annoying and doing things and causing problems. And then when she starts to grow up a little bit, the show just gets a lot more. It deals with a lot of the murkiness that comes post prequels and before the original trilogy, and it deals with it in this dark, gritty way that kind of like Andor did. It's really, really solid. If you enjoy good storytelling, I think it's worth checking out. But if you enjoy Star Wars and you want to feel the oppressiveness of the Empire, it does a really good job of showing it.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of really, really great things about this season. I have a coworker who is probably just as much of a Star Wars nut as you are, Bandito.
I would be genuinely impressed.
She has on her keychain for her keys, she has one of those little handmade bracelets with the letters it's like an acronym. And it's you've brought peace, justice, and honor to my new empire. So she's
Bandito, it's okay. Calm down.
Did I say it wrong?
Yes.
Something or another, right?
This is why we can't talk about Star Wars. Because you get to have fun, and I get tortured.
I'm trying to relate. I'm trying to bring up topics that cool. You all will find interesting.
No, I think the one that takes the cake is still going to be my sister. My sister decided she wanted to start learning Mandalorian, the language.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That's like people learning Elvish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm planning to get my first tattoo is Hayden Christensen's speech in the Star Wars written language.
You're such a
Accurate.
nerd.
Shut up.
Actually, as a side note, she's got her. She has her own Mandalorian helmet
That's sick.
That
Jealous.
she made.
that she made.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'll pull it out after the show.
Wow. Enough
So-
Star Wars and Bandito yelling at me for getting it wrong.
God, I
Sorry.
could talk about Star Wars for
We
hours.
know. All right. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We hope you just enjoyed our discussion today. We release these episodes weekly, but if that's not enough for you, we're often available in the Snowflake Sanctuary Discord server. If you want to offer your own insight, have any ideas for what you want to hear, or just think we sound like a really cool group of people to chill with, then click that link in the description. It'll take you right to us. There's also a role now that enables all the Sweaty Casuals news, so you're in there. And you can just come hang out. It'll be fun. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can find us anywhere else you can get your podcasts as well, whether that's Apple Music, iHeartRadio, everything else. You can also go find us on YouTube where you can see our smiling faces. And if you're on YouTube, you can also find us on any of those platforms as well, audio-wise. Thank you again to Draz and Bandito for joining us this evening. And thank you to you for listening to us. And we hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
Sorry, I was a little early with the double hands.
Yay! Everyone
One
remembers!
Zach, but today's the season 2 premiere. You got
It's
it.
the season 2 premiere.
It's the
Come
season
on.
2 premiere.
We're
You
turning
got
into
it.
leave. Come on.
Leave it alone.